Ever wondered how the same isolation that can breed creativity can also foster depression and anxiety? This paradox lies at the heart of our understanding of isolation. Isolation, in its essence, is a state of being separate. It's a solitary confinement within the realms of one's mind, a seclusion from the external world. Yet it's not always a detrimental state. There are instances when isolation can be a blessing, a wellspring of creativity and innovation. Think of the countless artists and thinkers who have drawn inspiration from their moments of solitude. However, the coin of isolation flips to reveal a darker side. Persistent isolation can lead to feelings of loneliness, potentially triggering mental health challenges such as depression and anxiety. It's a fine line that separates the constructive solitude from the destructive isolation, a line that is often blurred. Let's delve into a story that illustrates this paradox. Imagine two individuals, Alex and Bailey, both experiencing isolation but with vastly different outcomes. Here's Alex. Alex is a passionate writer who relishes solitude. He uses isolation as a tool, a quiet cocoon that allows him to focus, to dive deep into the realms of his imagination and to craft his stories without any distractions. For Alex, isolation is a serene lake, a sanctuary where he can nourish his creativity and accelerate his personal growth. It's not about escaping from the world, but rather creating a space where he can connect with his inner self, explore his thoughts, and express them freely. This, my friends, is an example of healthy isolation. It's deliberate, it's purposeful, and it's empowering. Now, let's turn our attention to Bailey. Bailey, on the other hand, is a social butterfly. She thrives on interactions and connections, and suddenly finds herself cut off from her social circles. Unlike Alex, Bailey didn't choose her isolation. It was thrust upon her, and it feels like a cold, desolate desert. She grapples with feelings of loneliness, her thoughts echoing in the emptiness around her. The isolation gnaws at her, breeding anxiety and depression. Bailey's experience is a stark illustration of harmful isolation. It's involuntary, it's distressing, and it's debilitating. As we journey through the lives of Alex and Bailey, we can see how the same circumstance of isolation can have vastly different outcomes. It's not the isolation in itself that's beneficial or detrimental. It's how we perceive it, how we use it, and how we let it affect us that matters. It's the difference between choosing to step into the quiet to recharge and being forced into silence that echoes with loneliness. In the tale of these two isolations, we see the power of perspective, the strength in self-awareness, and the importance of balance. We see that isolation, like many things in life, can be a double-edged sword. It can be a serene sanctuary or a desolate desert, depending on how we choose to navigate it. As we can see, the same isolation experience can have contrasting effects. So, what makes the difference between healthy and harmful isolation? It might seem like a fine line, but it's actually quite distinct. Healthy isolation is all about choice. It's that conscious decision to step back, to disconnect, to focus on oneself. This form of isolation can foster personal growth, creativity, and self-discovery. It's a chance to recharge, to reflect, and to reconnect with oneself. On the flip side, we have harmful isolation. Unlike its healthier counterpart, this kind of isolation isn't a choice, it's a circumstance. It's characterized by feelings of loneliness and depression, often stemming from a lack of social interaction. It's an isolation that can feel suffocating, overwhelming, and can lead to serious mental health concerns if not addressed. The key is to recognize these differences, to understand the nature of our own isolation. Is it a choice or a circumstance? Are we growing or are we suffering? Understanding these differences can be crucial for our mental health. Isolation, like many aspects of life, is a double-edged sword. It can be a cocoon for metamorphosis or a cage that confines. We've journeyed through the paradox of isolation, witnessed the tale of two isolations, and explored the thin lines that separate the healthy from the harmful. In understanding these complexities, we realize the power of recognizing when isolation becomes detrimental. It's vital to seek help when the silence starts to scream, when solitude morphs into loneliness. Yet let's not forget the beauty of isolation when used as a tool for personal growth. It can be a sanctuary for introspection, a space for self-discovery, a stage for self-improvement. Use it to recharge, to reflect, to realign with your values and dreams. In the end, it's not about vilifying or glorifying isolation. It's about understanding its dual nature and navigating it wisely. Remember, it's not isolation itself that's harmful or beneficial. It's how we respond to it that truly matters.